Hello, Habibis. Today we'll be making a simple kill script that when a player touches a part, they will instantly die. Let's get started. So the first things first, we're gonna be wanting to insert a part. I'm gonna make this a little bigger, and then under the properties of this part, we're gonna want to make it anchored right here. If we make it anchored, it's not going to be affected by physics and it won't move around. It will just stay in place. This is what anchored does. Now the next thing is we're going to go to where I made the part in the workspace. We're going to click this little plus button right here and create a script. Now in this script, we're going to want to grab the part. So we're just going to make a variable here, call it parts, and then reference the script right here. This is this script right here. And then we're going to say the parent. The parent goes back up one right here, and it's going to reference this part right here. So right now, this variable right here is referencing this part right here. After that, we're going to want to create something called a event. So we reference the part, we say touched, which is a signal, and then we use the connect function right here. Now, what this does is each time something touches this part right here will be called each and every single time. So now we're going to create a function, and this function is going to take a parameter, which is the part that touched this part right here. So once we do that, So now we want to make sure what touched this part is a humanoid or a player. So now we're going to reference the character of the part right here. We're going to say hit.parent. The parent returns the character object if a player hit the part. And then we say right here, if the character exists and if inside the character we find a humanoid, this means that a player has touched it. We do this. So now we just simply grab the humanoid from the character. We say char.humanoid. And then we set the humanoid's health to 0. Now this script will run each time anything touches a player, and it will instantly kill them. Now there is a small problem with the script. So if I just do a quick print here and then I go to click play here, you guys see how in this console right here gets printed 30 times? Well, yeah, that's because the event is called 30 times because the player has a bunch of attachments to it and he just touches it a lot of times. And we don't want this because you might have other stuff in the script that you only want to be called once. So to fix this, we're going to be adding something different. Now this is something called the debounce method. But I'm going to do it a little differently. And now we're gonna keep we're gonna keep this print right here so we can show you guys that this is only called once if we do it this way. So I'm gonna make another variable right here, and it's gonna be a table. And now, if I say, if the character exists and the character finds the first humanoid, and the player does not exist in that table. So we reference the character's name right here. If this character does not exist in this table, then we will enter this and kill the player. But if it does exist, then we're not going to be entering this, and the event will skip this part. So we go in here. Let me change the print to be in here because this is where the character is actually going to be dying. So now once we do this, we're going to want to add the character to the table. So we reference the player's table, we say the character's name, and we set this equal to true. So when this hits, it's going to say and not true, and it's going to be false, and it's not going to enter this. And so if we run this again, so now the player is in the player's table. As you can see, I'm not dying. Now, let's say we want to reset. We want a player for every 10 seconds that a player touches this, we want them to die. So this is just for a single player. So if we want um, if we want to reset the player from the players table, and we want them to die again if they touch it again after a period of time, we're going to use something called a task.delay. So this function right here, it's going to run after 10 seconds because this is what I have specified right here. So after 10 seconds, this function is going to run and it's delayed for 10 seconds, and that's how that function works. So inside this function, what we're gonna do is we're gonna call the players table. We're gonna get the player's name, and then we're gonna set it equal to false. So when this is false, this is going to be true, and this is going to go inside this again. So let's test this out. So I click play here. So if you look at the logs right here, here is only called one time. So I go and touch it. Nothing is happening until the timer. So we wait, and then I die again. So that's how that works. One quick thing here that I wanted to highlight, if I click play here and I go and die, you can see my character just falls apart. Let's say that if you did not want this to happen, there's also another script that we can add so the player just doesn't break any joints and just falls and dies right away. Let me show you how to do that. So in server script service, we're going to add another script, and we're going to call this script main. So this is going to be the main script of this game. So inside the script, we want to get the player service. So we say local players equals game get service players. And this is where we can do a bunch of stuff with the players in this game. Now we need to make a couple more functions. So this function is going to be when a character gets added to the game. So we say character right here. We're going to get the humanoid from the character right here. We say char wait for child humanoid. We want to wait to get the humanoid just in case that the humanoid needs time to load. Then we inside this humanoid there is something called break joints on death, and this is set to true by default. We want to set this to false. Now each time a player dies, their joints are not going to break and they're just going to fall down without their parts separating. Now we need to make another function, and this is going to be called onPlayerAdded. So this is when a player joins a game. We say player, and then inside here we say if a player joins and their character is already loaded in, then we want to go in this statement right here. Right here, we say we call the onCharacterAdded, and then we just we call the character from the player. We say player.character. Otherwise, if this doesn't happen right here, on the player, we're gonna call the character added signal. We're gonna say connect. We're gonna create a function and then pass in the char as the parameter. And then we just call that same function again, on character added, char. And then the final thing that we need to do is we're gonna call the player service right here. And then we're gonna call the player added signal. And then this event right here, we're going to say connect the on player added. So each time a player gets added, this function will be called. So now when we test this out, if I click play here, as you can see, my joints are not breaking and they all stay together. Now there is one thing to note. Each time a player dies, this is going to be called over and over again. So if I click print, I'm here. Let's just do this for testing. Click play here, and then we die. You can see it's got called 2 times. The first time because I joined, and then the second time because I died and I rejoined again. So that's just something to watch out for and to just know. That's pretty much all I have. Thank you.